Woo! Anomalies are scattered all over the radius with many types and effects. And from the various groups of anomalies come artifacts. But if you want these valuable artifacts, you need to understand how to navigate and survive among the deadly anomalies of the radius. So here's everything we know about anomalies and artifacts.
Woo! Ow! Ah! 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 Ah!
We will start with the anomalies as there's a lot more information to go off of there. Starting with Distortion Anomalies. Distortion anomalies are identifiable by the sound they make and the light blue geometric shapes that make up the outline of this anomaly. It will come in various sizes and can be elevated in the air or sitting on the ground. They are mostly translucent for several seconds, almost invisible to the naked eye. When the anomaly is in this phase, you can see the center of the anomaly. There, it appears that there is a mass of densely clustered air. When the anomaly reveals its full form, we can see its full shape, made from countless light blue geometric shapes in a messy group. These are easy to spot when they appear, but they only remain visible for about a second. It should also be said that when they are visible, they make a loud pulsing sound. So what do they do? Some pretty nasty stuff. Distortion anomalies are pockets of distorted matter and actively break down anything that falls into its trap on a molecular scale. It literally shifts and reconfigures your body at the molecular level. And it does so until your entire body breaks down from the inside out. In one of the tapes left behind by Explorer 12, he explains that he once had to watch one of his fellow explorers die when they accidentally wandered into one of these. He explained that the explorer panicked and died in incredible pain as his body broke apart and failed at the molecular level. It's not a nice way to go. So how do you deal with distortion anomalies? Using your probes or anything you have on your person, you can trigger them at a safe distance and plan your route accordingly. Just go slow and work your way around them in small movements. Go nuts with the probes to work out the best path and remain calm. That is the biggest part, just remain calm. If you are caught in a distortion, remain calm and jump back out. The anomaly only hurts you when you are inside. Your body will stable itself again as soon as you get away from the affected area. Reflector anomalies are not something you want to mess with. You can identify them by the dome of rapidly moving air. They first suck the air in around them, then violently repel the air out, making a loud whooshing sound. But it affects more than air. Anything tossed into this anomaly will also be violently shot out after being superheated. Probes can be dangerous to use around this anomaly due to this effect. Probes go in, hot beams of pain and misery come out. When taking on a group of these anomalies, be careful using probes, as you can actually trigger more than one reflector at a time if the probe flies through. If you are very careful, you can get through a cluster of these without probes, and just rely on the visual aid of the anomaly itself. If you step into one of these, you will get shot back out and thrown like a sack of potatoes. You can actually be thrown pretty darn far. For science, I ran some tests to see just how far I could be thrown.
Where'd my body go?
Haze anomalies are very noticeable. They are made from a cloud of glowing green toxic gas that holds its shape and mass on its own. Each cloud can be seen with a set path or remaining in stationary place. Also forming around the clouds are these thin, flowing beams of light that move around the gas. If you get engulfed in this nasty little cloud, you will suffer the same effect as mustard gas had in World War I. When traveling around or through the gas, equip a gas mask and you will breathe easy. Otherwise, you could suffer from abdominal pain, bloody nose,
Cough, decreased formation of blood cells, diarrhea, difficulty breathing, eye irritation, eye swelling, eye pain, eye tearing, fever, hoarseness, nausea, pain at the site of exposure, runny nose, shortness of breath, sinus pain, skin itching, skin pain, skin redness, sneezing, temporary blindness, vomiting and wheezing, convulsions, light sensitivity, insomnia, permanent or temporary blindness, and respiratory failure leading to death.
Probes do not do anything to this anomaly, so just put on a gas mask and hope for the best. Black grass can be some nasty stuff. Made of tough and sharp radius material, it pierces through the flesh of any explorer who is not looking where they're walking. It's the same as walking on a floor made of spikes, but what makes this extra nasty is that this anomaly can be found on any surface. Ceilings and walls are not free from the spiky growth. It can be found inside structures or low light conditions. As the grass is sensitive to light, a simple flashlight is all you need to force the anomaly down and out of your way. However, it will grow back in a matter of seconds if the light source is removed. The brighter the light, the faster the grass subsides. It's a fairly simple, yet a very effective anomaly, often forcing the explorer to momentarily stop or face the pain of 1,000 needles. Web anomalies can be found attached to vertical structures like trees and ruins. They resemble black vines that flow in the breeze, or a broken spiderweb, hence the name. But unlike a spiderweb, they do not catch their prey, instead affect a burning, stinging pain. It affects the entire body, as it poisons the bloodstream and can last up to 10 horrible seconds. The effects do not stop when you escape the touch of the web. You need to ride out the entire effect, as meds and regen artifacts only slow the process and don't negate the sting. If you can slow it enough with enough meds, it can reduce your chances of death, but it's not a guarantee. To avoid the burn of the web, simply walk around it or avoid the areas where you know where webs are located. This can be extra difficult at night, as webs are almost invisible in the dark. Probes and other items have no effect on this anomaly, so walking carefully is often your only option. If you are forced to walk through an area that is infested with web anomalies, make sure your health is topped up to the maximum. That way, if you get stung, the risk of losing your life is severely reduced. The Stomping Anomaly is an interesting one. I'm not sure as if it could be considered an anomaly or an entity, but most other sources do call it an anomaly, so I shall do the same for simplicity. Stompy, as I like to call it, wanders around Probetta Factory and the shore of the castle region. Completely invisible, the only way to know where it is or where it's going is to hear the loud stomping sounds, or to see its footsteps kicking up dust. Nothing will ever slow this guy down or get in its way. It walks over buildings and cliffs without effort and can even walk through some structures, as if they're not even there. Strangely enough, the footprints are actually handprints. Why? Honestly, I have no idea. Maybe it walks on its hands simply because It can. When you get stomped on, expect a great deal of pain as your entire body is crushed by the weight of this anomaly. Not only will your entire body sustain damage, but so will your equipment, weapons, and gear. If you have any grenades on you, they will detonate, probably killing you in the explosion. Probes have no effect on this thing. The best way to deal with this anomaly is to simply get out of its way. Out of all the anomalies we need to worry about in the radius, Scythe anomalies are the least of our concerns. There are only 4 of these in the entire radius, and only 2 of those can potentially hurt us. The 2 in question are on some heaps of rubble in the factory, while the other ones are high above on a crane, also in factory, and the other is at the tip of a tower in the castle. They work by emitting a high energy ring from the center point that expands for a good distance before quickly retracting itself back to its center again. When the rings are moving, you will hear a steady hum coming from the edge of the rings as it moves through the air. If you put yourself in the path of the rings, they will move through you and cause great damage or even death. The best way to handle a Scythe anomaly is to just avoid them. It's not hard, just stay off the hills and problem solved. Finally, shock anomalies. Yep, everyone's least favorite anomaly. Invisible until activated. The only way to find this anomaly is to listen for the sharp sparking sounds of electrical shocks or to see the small blue sparks. If you throw a probe or anything else into a shock anomaly, a blinding arc of electricity will reach out, revealing the location of the anomaly. If you get too close to a shock anomaly, you will have a sudden and painful blast of electrical power flow throughout your body. If you have anything in your hands when you get hit, you could drop them, and they will most likely fall into the anomaly. If your probe sack gets dropped into a shock anomaly, you can also try using a box of spare ammo as a last resort. They can act as makeshift probes to get you out of the area. There are 2 other ways to get through a shock anomaly though. One way is to use your probes without limit. Throw as many as you can all around. When you activate a shock, it will create a very short window that you could pass through. If you are fast enough, you could sprint through and out the other side. However, if you're not fast enough, you die. The other is much safer. Take a grenade. Do not pull the pin and throw it into the shock. The electric charge will detonate the explosive. The resulting explosion will destroy the shock anomaly completely, allowing for safe passage. Just remember, this trick will also damage anything else around. So don't use this trick if you're trying to retrieve gear from a body, and make sure you stand well clear or use cover. Blood water is an interesting one. It looks just like red water and can be found in ponds and lakes around the radius. The largest collection can be found around the castle. Do not try to swim in this pool, or you will acquire some serious chemical burns from whatever the radius has contaminated these waters with. The best way to stay clear of this danger is to stay clear of the danger. Just stay out of the water and you'll be fine. It's not a complex puzzle. That is it for the major anomalies, but you may find yourself around small ones too. Like creepy black arms that reach for nothing. Pretty puffy flowers. And of course, small details of many floating things around the zone, completely ignoring the very aspect of the laws of physics. Just small things. The majority of these smaller anomalies are harmless, and they're mostly there as a side effect of the nature of the radius. And of course, all around the radius, you can find clusters of anomalies with various types making up tight groups. The most common anomalies in these clusters are distortions, reflectors, haze, and shock anomalies. Along with these groupings, you can find glorious, valuable, precious artifacts. Artifacts come with many shapes and sizes. Many are very valuable. Some are just regular valuable, but all can be found within clusters of anomalies. While most are useless just as they are and only serve to be sold to the UNPSC, 3 in particular have functions that can be very useful. The Regen artifact is the only artifact that can heal explorers. They can be used several times and can heal any wound. They are the most treasured artifact by explorers, as they can be preferred to healing injectors. Night Eye is an artifact that can be used to see in the dark. Sort of. And the Steps artifacts leave a trail of your own footprints behind you. I find these artifacts useful when trying to collect other artifacts in clusters. Just follow your own tracks to get back out. To use an artifact, hold it in your hand, squeeze, and as long as you are holding it, the effect will come into action. To deactivate an artifact, squeeze again, and the artifact will disable itself. While most artifacts are only found in an orange, coppery color, some are often found in a dark blue-green color. These are special effects that often require a mission to locate. They are often valuable to the UNPSC, and they will send you on specific missions to locate these artifacts. Once again, these artifacts don't do much, and these artifacts' true purpose is unknown for now, except one. The Crier artifact is a loud, obnoxious artifact that makes this horrible sound. It screams for any entities around to come to its aid, and any hostile around will be attracted to the deafening sound, and whoever is unfortunate enough to be carrying it. Beware of this artifact. The only other artifact that cannot be found in clusters or on missions are shards. Shards are the heart of rifts and appear to be the power source as well. To find one, simply break open a rift and it will fall to the ground. Sometimes you may come across broken shards. These can be found in rifts that have become unstable. They still function as rifts, able to spawn in new hostiles to a small location. But it can look like several rifts mashed into one. There will be several broken rifts during a single tide cycle. When the UNPSC requests them to be collected, you need to turn them all in at the same time. The same can be said for heavy helix artifacts, which can often appear in anomaly clusters. If you find a heavy helix or a broken shard, hold on to them until you have collected all the other parts of their collection before handing them in. This is all of the anomalies and artifacts that we know of. So to wrap it up, here are some simple rules to keep you alive when encountering anomalies. Take your time and move slowly to avoid accidentally stepping into an anomaly when moving through clusters. Probes are your best tool for getting around distortion and reflector anomalies. But use caution and always carry probes on your person. A shock anomaly could have a far greater reach outside of its own area. Keep a gas mask on you as soon as it's available, as they are your only protection from gas. All anomaly clusters will have a gap that you can enter through. Large clusters can have more than one. If you cannot find a way in to a cluster, walk around the entire location while throwing probes. An entrance should reveal itself eventually. The deeper into the radius you go, you will find more valuable artifacts, but at much greater risks. And if you go to collect a Crier artifact, may God help you.